A joint report from Conservative MP Bob Seely, Hamish de Bretton-Gordon and Ted Bromond included a stark warning about the risk of nuclear war with Russia. Vladimir Putin is not bluffing over his nuclear war threats, and Russia is more likely than NATO to launch such an attack, according to a new report. The joint publication from MP Bob Seely and nuclear weapons experts Hamish de Bretton-Gordon and Ted Bromond adds that the Russian president is being pushed into a corner as his war effort in Ukraine implode. The trio warn that the Kremlin's dreams of Ukraine reincorporated into Russia and breaking up NATO are collapsing about him. The joint report, titled, "The US and its allies must understand and respond to Russia's nuclear threats," was published today, ahead of the publication of the government's Integrated Review Refresh. The Integrated Review Refresh, which is an updated version of the 2021 review, is a defense report designed to respond to growing global volatility in the face of threats from Russia and China. The report will see an additional £5 billion provided to the Ministry of Defense over the next 2 years. The funding is being ring-fenced to help replenish and bolster vital ammunition stocks, modernize the UK's nuclear enterprise, and fund the next phase of the AUKUS submarine program. In their report, Mr. Seely, Mr. de Bretton-Gordon and Mr. Bromond warned that the US and its allies cannot ignore the nuclear and chemical threat posed by Putin's Russia. It added, as the world's leading power, the US has the most to lose from any loosening of the limits on the use of weapons of mass destruction, especially nuclear weapons. It is therefore very much in the interests of the United States to deter the use of nuclear weapons, because the more those weapons are used and the more such use is deemed acceptable, the more likely the US is to be targeted by the one kind of weapon that could immediately do fundamental damage to it, the repo. A 2014 doctrine on Russian defense said the state could use weapons of mass destruction to protect its sovereignty, territorial integrity, and to ensure the safety of the Russian people. The joint report said that, as a result of such a doctrine, Russia is more likely than the West to employ tactical nuclear weapons, adding, Putin and his generals are not necessarily bluffing. The report continued. Putin's dreams of Ukraine reincorporated into Russia, of breaking up NATO, and of Russia leading a global anti-Western alliance are collapsing about him. Disaster for Russia's imploding armed forces may well await, and at some point, Ukraine's armed forces will likely threaten to break Russia's land corridor linking Crimea to the Donbass. At that point, Putin will make one of the most fateful decisions of the century, whether to employ nuclear or chemical weapons. The US must act now to minimize that threat and to ensure the protection of the American public and US allies. Ahead of the Integrate Review Refresh's publication, the Prime Minister warned the UK must be ready to stand our ground as the world becomes more volatile and competition between states becomes more intense. He added, by investing in our armed forces for the long term, we will be ready for the challenges of today and of the future. As I will discuss with our American and Australian allies in the US today, the UK will remain a leading contributor to NATO and a reliable international partner. Standing up for our values from Ukraine to the South China Seas, we have seen all too clearly in the last year how global crises impact us at home. With Russia's appalling invasion of Ukraine driving up energy and food prices, we will fortify our national defenses, from economic security to technology supply chains and intelligence expertise, to ensure we are never again vulnerable to the actions of a hostile power.